Yo, Elliot! I got a pretty typical question here from a young dude who wants to increase his bench press. Says he's been training for about 3 months. He's lost a lot of body fat. His strength has gone up, but he's finding that he's sticking with his bench press. For the past few weeks, he hasn't gotten any stronger, basically is what he's saying. And you're fairly new, so your body should respond pretty quickly to the stimulus of strength training, but you might just be missing 1 or 2 principles that will support you in continuing your progress. You know, you guys that are just starting out, 3 months is just starting out, you really shouldn't hit any brick walls if you're following sound principles and you're manipulating the variables in such a way that you don't grow stale, right? Or you simply are just not defying basic strength training principles. So anyway, the reason why I made this video today is because I know a lot of people get stuck. The things that I'll share with you in this video will support newbies who are just not following principles, that will support you in progressive overload, strength. And anybody else, you know, guys like myself or anybody who's been training for quite some time, if they get stuck with their bench press or any other exercise for that matter. I'm going to give you 3 tips that are going to support you. Number 1 is, if you've been lifting with a particular rep set parameter, you've got to change it. And I found personally that if I'm trying to increase my strength and I'm following strength training parameters, in other words, high intensity, low volume, I'm going, you know, 3 to 5 reps, 3 to 5 sets, long rest intervals, basically strength training, that if I add a component of volume training or bodybuilding training to the routine, either within the workout or on a separate day, that it aids my ability to increase that particular exercise. I think the reason being that by increasing the size of the muscle, there's an increased surface area that allows for greater force to be produced by that muscle. A bigger muscle oftentimes is a stronger muscle, excuse me. Not always the case, but with the upper body muscles, I found this to be even more true than the lower body muscles. So when you're trying to increase things like your bench press, you're going to want to not only go heavy, but you're also going to want to go with high reps. So if you're doing, say, 3 sets of 3 on your bench press and you're stalling out, add a component of volume by using drop sets. So for example, in the 3rd set, if you've completely maxed out using a heavy enough weight that you can only do 3 reps, then follow it by a drop set of about 20% in intensity for 3 subsequent drops. I've made videos about drop sets in this channel once before. So that way you're getting in a lot, you're burning out the muscle, in other words. You're getting a lot of volume on top of the high intensity associated with your previous 3 sets. That's the first tip. Second tip is going to be, take a look at where you're sticking. Your sticking points in the range of motion for the exercise. So the bench press, a lot of guys will either get stuck here, you know, you bring down the weight and you get stuck coming off the chest. A lot of guys will come this far and they'll get stuck going from the middle forward. They get stuck in their lockout. Without getting too technical on it, it just basically means you need to either spend more time in this portion of the movement or this portion of the movement. The way you can do that is by adding exercises that just stimulate those portions of the range of motion. So for example, if you have trouble with lockout, which a lot of people do, they have trouble with lockout, meaning that the triceps are weak in their ability to extend fully at the top of the movement, then do exercises like floor presses or rack presses or board presses. If you're not familiar with this, look it up. I mean, these are typical powerlifting terms, you know, lockouts, lockout sets, board presses. You probably also do really well with band presses. You know, it really forces you to work the full press out, full lockout on that movement. If you're having trouble coming off of the chest, right, then you're going to want to use exercises that just, you know, a lot of bodybuilders do this, and this is probably not the best way to build it up. I'll give you some other ideas, but exercises that force you to just work within this range of the movement. I think we used to call them lightning presses, but essentially where you set up inside the rack, the power rack, bands up above, and then you tie them onto your bar, and they help you on your way up. You know, so they support you in different portions of the range of motion. There's a term that powerlifters use. I've heard Dave Tate say it before. Accommodating resistance. These are different accommodating resistance techniques that will support you in different portions of the movement. And then finally, the third tip is build up that upper back, dude. Those muscles around your rear delts, your rhomboids, upper trapezius, those that support thoracic extension, you know, your scapular adductors. By building up a thicker upper back, you're gonna have a bigger foundation, a stronger foundation to come out of your press. That, coupled with your range of motion, won't have to be so far. Imagine, you've got a big old thick upper back, you really are moving the same range of motion, right? There's a little bit less movement there for you. The range of motion is shortened to a degree, not that much. But essentially, you want to be able to build a big, solid foundation, which is your upper back, that's going to support you in your pressing. Hope that helps. I'm done.
Yo, Elliot.